podcast. We are here with your hosts, Dave Reed, Ryan Wilkinson, and Joey Gallo.
Welcome in to the NSFW Dynasty podcast. It has been a minute. It is technically week 4 has already started. It's Thursday night, but you know what? We are back to in-season pods, guys. How you doing?
Better late than never. We're back.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. Is this thing? Yeah, we're
good.
We're good.
We're back. We're back.
I know. We're getting the cobwebs off. You know, it's fine, but it felt like there was a void in our lives, and I'm glad we're filling it again.
Yeah, it's not football season unless we're on here talking about the NSFW Dynasty League.
That's right. Having to tell our wives that we are going to start podcasting at 9 once the kids are fully down. That's how you know football is back. But so week 3 has already been in the books. I want to talk about what you guys think are some of the highlights, but I'm going to kick it off because I have to. I mean, Sunday Night Football, one of the most disgusting games ever. I don't know if you watched the final 4 passes of Russ in the from goal, first and goal, second goal, third and goal, fourth goal. Well, those were the last passes of his career as a Giant because Jackson Dart, baby. It's Jackson Dart time. I am very, very excited. I think most Giant fans are. Got Can't Scattaboo and neighbors, but want to see what you guys' thoughts on Jackson Dart starting is.
Go ahead, Ryan. You go first.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it was kind of inevitable. You knew probably at some point this season it was going to happen. I felt like after week 2, Russell Wilson was maybe going to hold it off for a little bit and it'd be a little later in the season, but didn't last long. Week 3, like Dave said, I think it was 4 passes out the back of the end zone when they needed a touchdown. So, it's exciting. I think it's always exciting when a rookie's coming in and you get to see what he can do. Scattaboo has obviously been doing really well himself, so maybe Dart can get in there and have some of that rookie magic as well and hopefully turn the Giants season around for you guys.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch one snap of the Sunday night game. I was at a concert, but I was doing that thing where I was just basically watching the game via group text updates from like various threads, my brothers, you guys, like every chat that I had was basically like live with every play of the game. And the overall overwhelming feeling was negativity in every regard except for Cam Scattaboo. And when I went back and checked out the highlights, that was pretty much what it felt like. So as far as Jackson Dart, I mean, like somebody, DeCosta, I think it was me to comment this week that was like, I feel like the Giants fans are like way too hyped about Jackson Dart. And it's not Jackson Dart. I mean, it is Jackson Dart, but it's just like when your franchise has a new rookie that you're excited about, like it's the promise of like, maybe this will be like a good average to above average quarterback that can like take us to relevance for the next however many years. Like you never really know until the first time they're out there. So I'm excited to see what he's got, and hopefully it'll be something that we can cheer for the next couple of years and not just,
Yeah, it's not Dart. It's we're cheering for the fact that we can hope for something, that there is the potential for hope, because we haven't had hope in years.
Just a relevant team. You need to have like a decent quarterback to have a relevant team.
Which is ironic because the reason we didn't have hope was Daniel Jones, who is now bowling out with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, which doesn't make me feel great that everyone who leaves the Giants becomes like an all-pro.
That's what I was just going to say, though, is Dart going to really help, or is it just that the Giants team in general isn't that great? Because we've seen it happen time and time again where these QBs leave a team, generally a New York team, the Jets or the Giants, and all of a sudden they're on fire and their career is resurrected. So, I wonder if Dart will be able to succeed on the Giants, I guess.
My narrative of why I think he will, and this is what I bought into emotionally as a fan, really have a lot of facts, is that New York never wanted Daniel Jones at all. We thought that was way too high of a pick. We were excited for the Dart pick because we thought that was good value. And Daboll never wanted Daniel Jones. He got stuck with him and never cared for him. He has literally walked up to Jackson Dart, shook his hand and said, "I love you," and walked away. And that was it. So I feel like the vibes are just different, and that's what you need. You need quarterbacks to have that confidence. I feel like Dart is going to come in with that confidence, knowing that everyone is pulling for him and wants him to succeed. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, for me, it's just I don't know. I think Daniel Jones' start this season in Indy is just a hair overrated.
Yeah.
He's not throwing any picks, but he's still only thrown one touchdown in each of the first 3 games, and he's got the best running back in the league. He's got a pretty good defense.
Good O-line.
He's got
nice
a good
offense.
offensive line. Yeah,
he's in a better situation.
Yeah, it's not like he's Patrick Mahomes out there. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, though, is these quarterbacks go to better teams and then they can succeed.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think the Giants team has gotten better this year versus last year.
It's a good rookie class.
And it's not like Jones didn't have success with the Giants. We made the playoffs and he won a playoff game. I mean, last year's team was terrible. I don't hate what I'm seeing from this year's team. The secondary is definitely a little bit better.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see. There's definitely like you get a perceived but kind of a real bump when that first game with a new quarterback. So certainly like the Giants this week, and we'll see what happens thereafter.
There's no tape on him, but the team they are playing, they've been balling out too. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, that passing offense, they're like the number 1 passing offense right now, the highest pass rate. Quinton Johnson seems to actually be fulfilling the first-round draft capital, dominating. Keenan Allen's looking solid. I think he's had 60 yards and plus and a touchdown every single week. But Ladd has kind of been disappointing. So, what's your take on the whole Chargers offense right now?
Yeah, I think I have Ladd in a couple places. I'm trying to be patient, to be totally honest. I think it's just like a variant situation, and also a
little foreshadowing for something later with Ladd.
We'll talk about Ladd a little bit.
Try to be patient with him.
I do think the offense obviously looks great, and Herbert is back to what we thought he should be. We'll talk about Ladd a little later, but I think patience is warranted.
And more patience. You always need patience with rookies, but how are you feeling about Genty right now? He's not. His stats haven't been fulfilling what you would expect from that high of a draft pick, but in a generational running back.
I think the concern with him again is the team. The volume is actually there. He's touching the ball a lot, but the offense stinks, and the offensive line is horrible. Yeah. So my concern, at least for this season, is that I just don't see it getting too much better because the offensive line's not going to get better, and I don't think there's going to be a ton of touchdowns to go around. So I don't think he's going to have this super crazy year that you were hoping for when you drafted him, most likely at the 101. But I think long term, he's still a good running back to have. I just think they need to upgrade the offensive line.
Yeah, eye test wise, he hasn't looked awful. But maybe it's a matter of who the defenses he's faced the Chargers and the Redskins. They have decent fronts, and the game scripts weren't totally ideal for him. He's probably got better days ahead this season. I would say, if I was betting, I would say that. We'll look back at the end of the year and be like, oh yeah, that was like a little bit of a rocky start, but he was able to get it together and finish with a pretty good rookie season. But
yeah, I think the biggest issue, Ryan, you were kind of mentioned too, is the O-line is abysmal. I think I forgot what the exact stat number is, but he has been hit behind the line at like a crazy rate, and his yards per before contact. So how far he's able to get without getting touched is like negative 47. It's like crazy. He's always hit behind the line. So he's doing a ton to just get to the line of scrimmage. And apparently I have to vet this, but I believe the O-line coach is like Pete Carroll's son or something. So there's a little nepotism that's probably creating issues there as well. But with that, I also want to jump in. I know there are injuries early in the year, but just want to hit a couple notable injuries that happened in week 3. So not a huge name. Mac Jones had a PCL injury to his knee. Still questionable comeback, but he was filling in for Brock Purdy, who was missing time with turf toe. But it's looking like Purdy might be back this week, especially if Mac Jones is hurt. So we'll see what happens there. Jaden Daniels missed last week. Still not sure how he's trending for this week. I haven't heard that he's back yet. So maybe seeing more Mariota. And Justin Fields, as of now, I believe still has not got out of the concussion protocol that made him miss week 3. From running back, some brutal injuries here. Najee Harris, season-ending Achilles injury, and he was actually looking pretty good in that game. James Conner, who's like a fan favorite, season-ending ankle injury. Both of these guys, who knows if they get back in the field or not. Those are tough injuries to come back to. And Tyron Tracy, John fans excited for Scatterboo. He got a lot more touches because Tracy early in the game dislocated his shoulder, probably out 2 to 4 weeks. And then wide receiver, some pretty big names here. CD Lamb, high ankle sprain, probably out 2 to 4 weeks. That absence will show up later in the pod on a few topics that we discussed. Mike Evans, hamstring injury, probably out multiple weeks. And Terry McLaurin, it was initially reported as a quad. Now he's seeing a second opinion or in a specialist for a core injury potentially. It sounds like they don't really know what is causing the problem, but he's getting a second opinion, which usually means not good things if you're getting a second opinion. I would expect him to miss this week, but it sounds like it could be a multi-week absence. So still stay tuned there. But I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on any of those injuries or if there's anything else you wanted to bring up.
No, just the quarterbacks. It seems like, and this might be the optimist in me, but I've been following the updates pretty close on Daniels and Fields. Fields is practicing all right, like full participant almost. I think I saw that he practiced as full as he could without being cleared from concussion protocol. So hopefully he'll be cleared. It seems like he and Daniels are both trending in somewhat the right direction, although Daniels probably won't be running as much for the near term, but yeah, I have Omari and Hampton in a million places, and I'm a big Scatterboo guy. So I feel like the injuries, while unfortunate, have definitely opened up opportunity for some of the more exciting rookies. So, excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I mean, like Joe said, I think the quarterbacks will be fine. None of those seem too serious. And the running backs, it's interesting. All 3 of them kind of lead to one guy who should get a lot of work and are pretty highly thought of. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then the wide receivers, I mean, it's basically our team, Mike Evans and McLaurin. So we're in trouble.
I'm not sure you have anyone left to start.
Yeah. Our bench is not providing too much. So,
well, moving on, we've kind of alluded to this theme, but patience is a hard thing in fantasy. It seems like it could be even harder in Dynasty sometimes. Like, even though the name of the game in Dynasty is the long game, we have a tendency to kind of become a bit short-sighted. We've been spoiled, I think, with rookies over the past couple of years, but in general, patience is hard. But there's been some slow starts that are panicking owners right now, especially from the wide receivers. And there's a number of wide receivers going into the season and dynasties that were viewed as about top 15 options and all have slow starts. I want you guys to both put in order of least concern to most concern for these wide receivers that I'm about to list. And feel free to add any additional commentary on your level of concern for them. But people who start off a slow start, we got Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., A.J. Brown, Ladd McConkey, Marv Harrison, and T. Higgins.
Yeah, I can
jump in.
I can go. So, definitely the least concern for me, Justin Jefferson. I think the slow start there is just a matter of JJ getting his sea legs under him, and also not for nothing, but Carson Wentz is playing quarterback right now. JJ's still out, and it seems like they're going to give Carson Wentz a little bit of slack in terms of if he keeps playing well. JJ has looked good, and I'm a fan, so I think ultimately things will be fine for Jefferson. Next, Brian Thomas Jr., getting a ton of targets, and overall, both he and Travis Hunter, I think, will end up being fine. I think both of them right now. It's just Trevor Lawrence, as we all know, is not a very good quarterback, so he's got to overcome that. But
Common theme on this pod, yes.
yeah, but he's getting targets, and I mean, like they literally gave up a ton for Travis Hunter. They got to get him involved too. I think overall that passing offense will be fine. AJ Brown would be next. I personally wasn't really like targeting AJ very much in redraft for the exact reason why there's been frustration with him right now, which is just that like their offense doesn't pass a ton. So like they pass when they need to. He had a huge week last week. He's going to have ups and downs, but I'm not putting him lower on the list because he's doing pretty much what I expected him to do. So I can't really say that I'm super concerned. It's just that's why I wasn't super in. Next, Drake London, a little concerned. The offense has been great. Penix looked bad last week. I'm really hoping for a bounce back. There were a couple games last year, though, towards the end of the year, where I really liked what I saw from Penix. So holding out some hope there. Ladd McConkey in the near term. I mean, look, we're ranking these, and there's got to be, somebody's got to be at the bottom of the list. And my concern with Ladd is that Keenan is playing well, and Quentin's playing well, and a lot of the success that Ladd had last year were situations where he was the only receiving option. And not to say that he's not going to have great games, but is he going to be a number one locked in wide receiver one when there's other options on the team? Like Hampton hasn't even really like hit his stride yet. So that's why I'm putting him where he is. And then Marv and T. Higgins. Higgins I'll throw at the bottom because I think this year is going to be kind of a wash for him. He hasn't even had his...
He's Mike Williams.
Yeah, he hasn't even... Well, he's a lot better than Mike Williams, but he hasn't even had his annual injury yet. Yeah. And now he has Jake Browning throwing it to him. So he's last. And Marv... Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got the yips. Something's off. So, yeah. JJ, Brian Thomas, AJ Brown, London, McConkey, Marv, Higgins. That's the order for me.
Yeah, and I won't go into too much commentary because it was pretty similar to what Joe had. I was going to list Marvin Harrison Jr. as the last in terms of I'm most concerned because, like Joe said, it just seems like something's off, and it's kind of seemed like it last year too. But a lot of this is all quarterback related. Like Joe said, T. Higgins, I mean, he has Browning as his quarterback now, so that's obviously very concerning. And I would definitely have agreed with Joe and had Justin Jefferson as least concerning because, again, I think it's just kind of quarterback driven and he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Any major disagreements from you, Dave, on that order?
No, not really. I mean, Justin Jefferson, I'm never really concerned with. He'll get his eventually. If the quarterback play has really been the biggest issue, that'll turn around. Brian Thomas Jr. and Jags. I mean, the other thing too, it's a new offense. I do think some of it is mental for Brian Thomas, but I think he'll bounce back from that. London, I'm more optimistic. Its ADOT has been low this year so far too, so he's got the targets. They're not been great, but Penix is a deep ball thrower, so like that doesn't make sense to me why that would be happening, and so I think that will eventually flip. AJ Brown I've been low on, I think since last year. He was one of my sells, but I still think he's valuable. A lot I'm concerned with, and not for skill. It's just that kind of Joe, you were saying. He was the only show in town, and like now Keenan came in, we were all concerned about that, but we didn't know Quentin Johnson was going to be looking like this and demanding that many targets. And obviously Hampton's going to start getting things out of the backfield, but he didn't even have Orlando Gadsden now showing up. We got 7 targets, so like it's and Ladd has been disappointing, and they were throwing at the highest rate of any team that's at an unsustainable rate. So like you would think the passing opportunities as a whole is going to go down. So his percentage of target share needs to go up with this if that goes down to even maintain his current disappointing point. So that's the only thing. It's not a talent. Just there's a lot of mouths to feed there. Marv is looking like a beta. I'm going back and forth because I think the situation in Arizona is better, but T is a better talent in my opinion. But yeah. It's tough. Those guys to me are more wide receiver 2s at best now when they seem like potential wide receiver 1, low end 1s, but they're like more low end 2s to me.
Yeah.
But you are seeing guys popping up now like JSN, Emeka Buka, and Roma Dunze who are shooting up to be those potential filling the void of those wide receiver ones is pretty exciting.
Yeah, those guys look great. And honestly, like you probably, I mean, you're like a notorious non-believer in T Higgins,
And I have
and
not been proven wrong.
yeah, and
At any
well,
point.
sometimes,
Yeah,
and
like a gamer here that gets hurt.
this whole off season, well, not this whole off season, but this off season after he signed the contract, the whole fantasy community was very high on him, and even I, as a big supporter, was feeling some trepidation about that. I'm like, come on, I really think we're taking T Higgins like as a community too high right now, and unfortunately, that is looking to be a not very prudent decision. Seems like every time it was the same this year, not last year, but 2 years ago, he was drafted like second or third round as well, and didn't have a great season then either. So it's when you least expect it, you know?
Well, he didn't really show up and do beat ADP or value last year. That was right on point. That's where he should be. People just keep pushing him. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Just keep him down there.
Yeah.
But kind of that's a good lead into our next segment. With Dynasty, we're always talking about every player is kind of like a stock, and it's about getting him at the right value. So we're going to move in. We're each going to be giving one buy and one sell player in our
Number
next
one
segment.
rule of Wall Street. Nobody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett, nobody knows if a stock is going to go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles.
That's right. None of us know, but we're gonna try to give you some lead. And I might make that louder next time, but we're playing around with new things here, guys. But yes, we're gonna give you one buy player and one sell player each. So Joe, why don't you kick us off? Because I don't know who your buy is, and I'm very interested.
Yeah. So I was all ready to give my sell first, but
Fine, go with the sell. It's fine.
No. So for my buy, I mean, it's a little bit. I fear that it's a little bit obvious, but it's somebody that I have been buying in Dynasty for a while, and I really hope that it doesn't end up being in vain. But Isaiah Likely, Baltimore Ravens tight end. I've loved everything that I've seen from Isaiah Likely basically since he came into the league. And whenever he's given the opportunity, whenever he's on the field by himself, he is an elite option at the tight end position. And even times where he's on the field with Mark Andrews, he has weeks, week one last year and a couple other times in between where he spikes and puts on pretty great performances. So for me, I'm gonna if I'm buying anyone right now, I think this is a great opportunity to buy, especially after last week and just in general. He's coming off an injury. Obviously, Andrews had a very big week last week, almost 100 yards receiving, caught 2 touchdowns. So this might be a good time to capitalize on a little bit of a window to grab Isaiah Likely on the cheap. He is likely to be the tight end one for the Ravens going beyond this season. And I honestly, I haven't loved what I've seen from Mark Andrews the first couple of weeks. I mean, granted, he did a very similar thing last year where he only had, one catch the first 2-3 weeks of the season and then kind of turned it around. He is very often a target around the end zone and probably will continue to be a target around the end zone. But Likely kind of really opens up the field for them. And I think they're missing him a little bit on the offense right now, if it's possible. I mean, I know they're scoring 1 billion points every week, but I think they're looking forward to having him back, and I'm excited to get him back in my lineup in a couple leagues where I have him. So I would say he's probably the guy that I would say right now is it's a little obvious. He's one of these guys where, as a community, we've all kind of there's been a lot of people buying and waiting for, his opportunity to be the Ravens tight end one for several years now. But I think the opportunity is coming soon. And I think now's probably the last chance you have.
I dig it. I'm a big Likely guy. I like that take as well. Ryan, I'm sorry for dictating the buy or sell. So Ryan, why don't you decide which buy or sell you want to go with?
I'll keep it with buys. And the guy I'm going to talk about, we've already talked about quite a bit, which I actually feel like makes this interesting. So I went with Lad McConkey, which both of you have already said some things on this podcast that it seems like you're kind of down on him. And that's why I have him as a potential buy right now. He's obviously had no touchdowns. His target share is down with Keenan Allen and QJ obviously kind of rising. And he's been a disappointment. He's only had 7.93 points per week in half PPR. But Keenan Allen's 33 years old. He's not going to be around forever. Quentin Johnson, has turned it around this year, but I do think Justin Herbert can easily support two wide receivers. And if you look a little deeper, Ladd has tied Johnston in targets when Justin Herbert has a clean pocket and has the second most first downs. So I think he is someone that Justin Herbert is looking at when it's important. And so I think long term, he could be someone that you could buy. He hasn't dropped a ton in terms of value in the Dynasty community. He was wide receiver 10 not too long ago. Now he's down to wide receiver 15. But I think if he's someone that you believe in, I think there's a little bit of an opportunity to buy right now because it does seem like a lot of people are down on him. And I think long term, he's going to stay as the wide receiver 1 on a really good team with a good quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I was saying too, the talent's not the issue at all. It's purely the opportunity right now. And to your point, Ryan, Keenan Allen won't be around forever. Who knows what even happens after this year? He was free agent pretty late in the process this year. So, there's a very good chance you get him now for cheap, and next year you're looking like you got a stud again. So, and who knows what happens later in the year too. So I do like that buy. You want to get him when perceived value is lowest, and Joe and I are clearly perceiving that. So it's a good point.
The community is low on him, so that's why I feel like if you believe he can be that wide receiver 1, I feel like now's the time to buy.
Yeah, let's put it this way, right? Like in a redraft league where I have him, like a couple of players who I, respect as generally savvy fantasy players have reached out to me this past week being like, yo, is Lad available? And that's generally an indication where that's a strong case of agreement for your buying him when, there's other people who out there in real life who are also attempting to buy him.
Well, let me throw this out there too. On Keep Trade Cut, the other wide receivers that are right next to him are Rashee Rice, AJ Brown, and Marvin Harrison Jr., which we just talked about 2 of those. Would you guys rather have those over Ladd?
Yes.
All 3?
I'd want all 3. I'd want Ladd over
even after what we just talked.
Okay.
Oh, you'd have Ladd over them.
Yeah, I'd have Ladd over all 3 of those.
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Well, I'll turn things down with the sell first. So my sell is Jameson Williams. And I want to be clear because I may have been down on Jameson Williams a couple of years ago. I'm much higher on him now than I was then. So this is not a panic sell. But again, this is perceived value versus reality. And I think those are not matching right now for Jameson Williams. Because he finished last year as a wide receiver 19 with over 1,000 yards by 1 yard on 91 targets and 58 catches. And then he signed a 3-year extension for $80 million in the offseason. So all good things, of course, like why the arrow's only pointing up. But he reached, again, that 1,000 yards on such a low target and reception number. It's very, very difficult to repeat that. The only way he's going to continue that success in subsequent years is to increase his targets and his target share. Only guys like Deshaun Jackson and Mike Williams again had 1,000-yard seasons with lower receptions and targets, and they were very up and down, sporadic seasons. So it's not something you can consistently rely on. And the issue is that this year you were hoping the targets were going to increase. We already knew Ben Johnson was leaving. That was going to have an impact on the offense, but his targets have not grown at all this year, like you saw at the end of last year. They've actually gone down each week. He had 5 in week 1, 4 in week 2, and 3 in week 3. He has a 13% target share. That is not going to get it done for what you were expecting out of Jameson Williams. And it's a run-first offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dominating all the targets, and the offense is slightly different than it was. So I still believe the community kind of views him as a mid to high wide receiver 2 potential. But I think he's more of a boom bust wide receiver 3. So for me, I think if you could cash in on that and get someone who is more consistent and reliable, I would probably do that. So for me, he's a sell because I don't think the perceived value is matching the reality of the situation there.
Yeah, sad to say. I'm beginning to agree with that take. I had higher hopes for him coming into this season. There was a lot of hype around him, taking that leap, like you said, and it's just been a carbon copy of last year thus far. Yeah. So, unfortunately, it might be time. And not for nothing, but one of the guys that I was actually considering for my buy was our man Tesla. And he has looked great in very limited opportunity so far this season. So he's only going to get more opportunity the better he looks. Like that's only going to be even more competition for Jameson. So yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, I have him, and I can't disagree. He's definitely an extremely boomer bust wide receiver to have. In week 2, he had 20 fantasy points on 2 catches. Like that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And like you said, Amon-Ra just steals all the targets there. So I don't think you're ever going to have a consistent 5-6 catches a game.
He's a useful player. It's just if you can cash in on like a higher value for that, do it. But like if he's your wide receiver 3 or 4 on your team, that's great. Like you need that variance sometimes, but he's not what I think people thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll give it back to you, Russ, since I just brought you down. Why don't you bring someone else down with yourself?
Yeah. Joe may want to cover his ears for this one, but
this is a direct shot.
Yeah, I went with Rome Odunze for my sell. Now, I'm obviously not saying you don't want him on your team, and he's obviously had a really hot start to the season, but that's why he could potentially be a sell. He's had 3 weeks of 25% plus target share, and he's the only Chicago wide receiver with an end zone target in all 3 games. Some of that, I think, is going to change. And against the horrible Cowboys defense, he only had 3 catches. The TD did save his day. But I still think there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. DJ Moore, still the wide receiver 1, first year of a huge extension. Luther Burden has been emerging a little bit. They have Colson Loveland, the tight end, and DeAndre Swift is there too. So he's jumped to like 30 spots in the last month, all the way up to wide receiver 9 on Keep Trade Cut. And I feel like if you can go and get a top 10 value for him right now, I don't see that holding for the entire season. So he could potentially be someone you could sell for a really high value right now.
Joe, I turned it over to you. Your rebuttal.
I don't entirely hate the sentiment, right? Like I love Rome, and I've loved everything that I've seen, like wide receiver 9 in Dynasty.
That's crazy.
I'll even admit is a little aggressive, but like you might honestly just be seeing like the age kind of like torch being passed from DJ Moore to Rome, where like it's not like DJ is going to be like vanishing into oblivion. It's almost like, maybe he's ready to have like a little more of like a wide receiver 2 back end of his career. He's not the youngest guy out there. So
I think they trade DJ Moore at some point.
It doesn't seem like they like, I would say they don't need him, but like you said, Rye, like they have a ton of options in the passing game, and Luther Burden has looked pretty good, limited opportunity. So
yeah, I mean, I'll throw this out there again, just because I have it in front of me. The guys ranked around him on Keep Trade Cut are Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas Jr. You keep in Rome long term, or are you interested in any of those guys?
Probably over Garrett. I don't know about the other two.
Yeah, I think that would be I would definitely take Nico. I would definitely take Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's how much he's increased in value. You could probably go get someone like that right now, which that's where I'd say you could potentially sell him for a really high value right now. But I do agree. He's looked great. So
I mean, wide receiver 9, if I could cash in on that, I would at least see what I could get for him. I think that's a good way to go about it. floated out there. Yeah, that. I did not know he shot up that high. I think it's because there's been a lot of slow starts too. But Joe, what about you? Who's your since I forced you into a buy, you finally get to do the sell you wanted to do so badly. So let's hear it.
No, I
It's
was
Trevor
prepared.
Lawrence. Got it.
I,
All
I was
right.
prepared to do my sell first because it's very controversial, and I sincerely debated doing it, but just in the interest of trying to put out good content, I have no
All
I
right.
have no choice but to be true to myself. And I honestly think that if I was selling right now, Jalen Hurts
Oh yeah, I
of the
would.
Philadelphia Eagles would be a really good sell candidate. Really at any point this season, right? Because I think this season he's going to continue to put up really good numbers. And it's not to say that beyond this season he's not going to be a good quarter. He's still going to be a running quarterback. I mean, he's averaging like
He's a
10 or
good running
11
back.
carries a game this year. And um, he's not going to stop running, right? Like there are a lot of terrible quarterbacks out there that are good for fantasy because
Mm-hmm.
they run, and he will fall into that category quite soon. But the reality is they have a very, very strong defense, and he's not the best pocket passer. So if you take away the rushing touchdown opportunity, and it seems very clear that the tush push is going to be voted down this offseason. It just the new introduction of the false starting issues, where now in addition to their already long list of complaints that people had about it, it seems like the Eagles are getting away with a false start on several tush push plays per game. The frustration's growing, and I really don't think there's any chance that it um, doesn't get voted out at the end of this season. So when you factor in the amount of touchdowns that he picks up over the course of a season, strictly from the tush push, that is, you're talking like a huge amount of his perceived value that is on the cusp of going away. So yeah, I mean, I think if you could get value for him right now, and lock in another um, quarterback that might not have as much dependence on rushing touchdowns specifically. It's because it's an interesting thing with Hurts, where like it's like whenever they get down near like the 1 or 2 yard line, it's almost like an auto touchdown for him, which is like a really like unique situation and advantage. And I remember when I traded for him in our league last year, it was a big bet that the tush push was gonna stick around, and I was like following that shit like very closely this summer. I was like, we need to keep the tush push because otherwise, like, I'm gonna be in trouble with Hurts.
Joe was at those coaches' meetings. He's like,
Yeah,
guys,
and
keep it.
thankfully they kept it, but it's not gonna we're not gonna be so lucky at coming out of this season. So that's my take. I think Jalen Hurts is a sell, and you probably have some time to do so. Yeah, probably have like the rest of this season, but his value will definitely take a hit next year.
What
Yeah,
if you
that's good
sold him
foresight.
for Kyler Murray, who has 2 interceptions at halftime right now?
Yeah.
For the record, I bet Kyler Murray's under pass yards tonight because he's never this season passed more than 220, and that was the line and made no sense. But anyway, yeah,
He
Joe,
stinks, dude. For
he
what it's
stinks.
worth, I drafted him. At
Yeah.
least I waited till the second round to draft him in our startup, but he and Trevor both stink.
Yeah. But the tush push that's a really good foresight, especially because then if he's not getting that, he has to rely more on the passing, in which he's not as strong. But AJ Brown is a big touchdown target for him, and he's going to start declining in his career as well. Devonta Smith is still a great wide receiver, but he's not as much of an end zone threat. So his overall touchdowns can take a significant hit going into next year. So that's a pretty good sell right there. Yeah, and then I'll go in with my sell. Excuse me, my buy. I did my sell already. My mistake. My buy is Bashal Tutin of the Jags. That we keep talking about the Jags here, but I'm a sucker for these fast, undersized running backs. This guy's 5'9", 206. He was an interesting prospect. He's a rookie right now. He came out of Virginia Tech. He had a solid dominator score, blazing fast, 4.32 speed, pretty good broad jump. So he has the physical skills, and he was an early fourth round pick. I think the second pick of the fourth round. But when he went to the Jags, he was the third running back on the depth chart. But then the Jags immediately shipped off Tank Bigsby, and now he's the running back 2 behind Trevor Etienne. Is it Travis Etienne? Excuse me, I got his brother, Travis Etienne. And he's been getting limited touches so far, but he's already showing flashes. He scored a touchdown in the last 2 games, and they've been goal line touches, which is very interesting based on his size. And Etienne has been great so far. He had a great week 1, and that's kind of, in my opinion, going to suppress Tutin's value a bit. But if you actually look underneath, Etienne's snap rate, usage, production, efficiency numbers have actually dipped each week. And I wouldn't be surprised if Etienne, eventually his hot start kind of fades off. You saw this even 2 years ago. Etienne started off hot. It was very inefficient.
It's almost myself.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to keep it up. I think he's going to drop off, and then they're going to lean more and more on Tutin going forward. And I think he's got the skill. He's got a lot of upside. So he's someone who I think you can get still relatively cheap, and someone who might be a pretty strong option for you the second half of this year and definitely going to next year. So I would definitely be buying Tutin where I can.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, Etienne was almost my sell, and the fact that they traded Tank Bigsby is probably the biggest evidence that Tutin is.
They want Tutin to be good.
The truth, yeah. Because if they had any doubts about Tutin, there's no chance they trade Bigsby, who honestly proved to be a very good back all of last year.
They liked him more than Etienne last year. Just Etienne dominated week 1. You can't trade that. And then just going to give you a quick bonus buy and sell, just super quick. Zay Flowers is a sell for me. He had a big week 1. Bunch of targets. Everyone got high on him, thought that he was actually going to level up. But he does this every year. He has a couple games sporadic throughout the year where he gets a ton of targets. Looks great, but then you see week 3 happen where he gets like barely anything, and he's not a big touchdown guy. Never has been. Lamar loves spreading the ball, and there's just too many options there. So I would sell Zay on the hype of week 1. And then for a buy, just shoot your shot on Caleb Johnson. See if you can get him super cheap, because perceived value is low right now. Hope in reality on his own team and there. So I would just, if you get him cheap, I would just toss something out there. Yeah. All right, we're going to move to our next segment on giving you sleepers for week 4. So
seriously, don't sleep on the Gouda.
Do not sleep on the Gouda. So we'll see if we can bring you the Gouda. Ryan, why don't you hit us with your sleepers, because I'm loving your picks.
Yeah, so I was trying to find someone that isn't rostered a ton, but I really feel like you could throw in your starting lineup. So I went with Romeo Doubs, basically because Green Bay is playing the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are allowing the most fantasy points to wideouts. Between weeks 2 and 3, they gave up more than 100 yards to 3 wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Luther Burden, who I just mentioned. So I feel like any one of the Packers wideouts could get 100-plus yards. Golden is rostered in 83% of leagues. Dobbs is only rostered in 24%. So that's why he's my sleeper. I feel like you could take a real look at him, and he actually does lead the Green Bay wide receivers in receiving yards with 121 through the first 3 weeks, which I know is pathetic, but still the top wide receiver in Green Bay right now. So he could be the one. He averages 17 yards per catch, so he could be the one to break the 100 yards.
Yeah, I love it. You'll see how much I love this a little bit later in the show. Not too much later. We're getting there. But I'd also even throw on Dontavian Wicks, throw it into the mix. All the wide receivers this week I would throw in. Wicks is low roster as well. He's been playing the Jaden Reed role since he's gotten hurt, playing a lot of he's rotation into the slot. And he gets pretty good separation. So I love all the wide receivers there. I'll jump in because my sleeper is actually in the same game as Ryan's, but on the other side for the Cowboys, it's Kavante Turbin, and I hopefully pronounced that correctly. Turpin. So obviously we talked about CeeDee Lamb is out. And the Cowboys, in my opinion, are likely going to be down in this game because I think the Packers are a very good team. They have a strong defense, and their offense, I think, is going to light it up against the terrible Cowboys defense. So I think Turpin is going to be the big beneficiary. He's a year 4 special teamer for anyone who didn't really know who he was before this year. He's seen his snaps and targets on the offensive side grow every single year. And this year, he even before CD went down, he was getting a lot of action. The Cowboys were getting him involved. Week 1, he had 2 targets for 2 for 18 and 2 rushes for 9 yards. Week 2, that went up to 4 targets for 447 and a touchdown. Still had another 2 rushes for 6 yards. In week 3, this is when CD went down. He had 3 targets, 2 for 64 yards, and then another rush for 4 yards. So going in, and it seems like Tolbert was probably the wide receiver 3 and potentially the one who could be the 2 if CD went down. He has had more targets than Turpin, but he hasn't really done much with them. He hasn't been converting them to catches. And in my opinion, Turpin is actually going to be the wide receiver 3 for the team when CD's back, or when he's out, the wide receiver 2. He's got legit speed, and you actually get bonus points because he will have a few rushes every single game as well. And in this matchup where I think Pickens is going to get a lot of the defensive focus there, I think Turpin and his speed is going to get a good amount of volume underneath, and he can get some good yak yardage there. So for me, he's a solid sleeper this week. Also, you will see how much I like him. I'm actually starting him in our league too.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I grabbed him in a couple spots. In one of my redrafts, and maybe you guys can make me feel better about this, because the second I made the move, I felt remorse about it. But I dropped Darnell Mooney to pick up Kevontae Turpin on the kind of disgusting performance by Atlanta last week, and but I only mentioned that
this week. I don't remember.
They have they're favored by 1.5 or a half a point at home against.
I'm looking it up now. Where you at, Falcons? Falcons. Oh man, this is doing things live, guys. This is what live pods are about. They're playing the Panthers. Oh no, that was last week. Excuse me. Of course,
they're playing Washington.
Commanders.
Keep talking.
Home
Washington.
Home against the Commanders.
Oh, that's a decent matchup.
Yeah.
But I like Turpin more. I think he's needed more.
Yeah, I think he was involved before CD even went out. And I don't know. Is George Pickens really that guy?
I don't think he is.
But we don't think so. It's possible he's not. So
I got him off the waivers in our league. Think about that. That's how deep this guy he started. I got him in the offseason as waivers.
Turpin? Yeah.
Yeah.
My deep cut, and you're probably going to want to pay attention to the practice report and status on Juwan Jennings, but a guy that had some success in the preseason, and I've kind of been keeping an eye on him, is Demarcus Robinson.
Yep, good call.
Wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. He has been suspended for the first 3 weeks, but he is now back. And they are desperate for pass catchers in that offense, and just anybody in general who can do skillful things with the ball. Christian McCaffrey is touching the ball on like 50% of their snaps. And Juwan Jennings hasn't practiced. He didn't practice yesterday. He didn't practice today. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, then I assuredly, and I mean, for what it's worth, Ricky Pearsall's he seems like he's trending towards playing, but he's kind of like dealing with an injury himself. So, there's a possibility that Demarcus Robinson sees a ton of action this weekend. So as a dart throw, maybe somebody that you throw out there in in your DFS lineup, or throw a couple shekels on his over 3 or 4 or 5 receptions and see what happens. But at home against Jacksonville, who's not a very good pass defense, I think that there's especially with Purdy potentially back, Demarcus Robinson, keep him in mind.
Yeah, he's not that's good, because I think a lot of people forgot about him because of suspension. But he's not a nobody. He's with the Rams he showed out. He's had a lot of moments on other teams as the wide receiver 3 and occasional 2, really stepping up. So that's a great call out of that. Slipped the mind, but you get a few guys back from suspension this week, and Addison and him. So that's a big call. Any other sleepers anyone want to throw out as bonus sleepers? Otherwise, we'll get into the thing that everyone wants. It's not guaranteeing anything, but we're gonna try to show you the money here on some prop bet cooking here. This we have the main chef here in Joey, but Ryan and I are the sous chefs underneath him. So I figured me and Ryan could give our appetizers first. Mine's a super spicy dish, but I'll let Ryan go first. I'll give mine, and then Joey can give us the main course.
Yeah, I don't have the betting expertise of my co-host here, but I thought I'd give you guys a two-leg parlay that I put together, which is the Bills minus 15.5 over the Saints. The Saints just let up 44 points to the Seahawks. I feel like Josh Allen is going to dominate. So the Bills will cover. And then we've talked about this game, but the Cowboys and the Packers, I feel like it's going to be a shootout. Defense is terrible for the Cowboys. And I'm going with the over 47.5. I think a lot of points will be scored there. And on FanDuel, that is plus 264.
I love it. Because it's a great lead into my pick, because I hope there are a lot of points. Because we've been banging this game in a lot of our segments all pod. But I'm going for the Sunday Night Football same game parlay glory play when you have lost a lot of money earlier in the day, and you're like, I'm just going to get it all back right now on the Sunday night game. So I have a 5-leg same game parlay. I am going with Matthew Golden, 70 plus receiving yards. So that's 69.5 is the line there. Plus 318. Dontavian Wicks, 50 plus over 49.5. That's plus 111. Josh Jacobs, 80 plus rush yards. So that's 79.5 is the line there. Plus 103. Jake Ferguson, 7 plus reception. Again, the line then is 6.5, and that's minus 144. And then Cavante Turpin, 25 plus receiving yards. So that's, again, the line is 24.5 there, and that's plus 138. I think there's a lot of value because a lot of these players have not shown out yet, and I think this is the game where they will blow up, and that's why I'm putting these all together, and I did a lot of alt lines for that. You blend that all together. You put a little nice spices on top of there, and that actually comes out to plus 9,500. So that's 95 to 1 odds. And on DraftKings, you can boost that an extra 25%, which I did. So plus 1,108.75. So it's 118.75 to 1, those odds. And I don't know which one of those lines is not going to hit. Honestly, the Josh Jacobs one's the one that scares me the most, but I think they're all going to hit, and we're all going to be rich. So let's just take it. And if I hit this on the first call, then I don't even care what I say the rest of this year, because you will be in the money if this hits. But again, nothing's guaranteed. And if you have a gambling addiction, please call the hotline. But anyway, Joey.
So I am going to go a little team for the first week. Just try and get on the board.
Offset me.
Try and see one go through. One of the teams that I feel the best about this week is the Las Vegas Raiders at home against the Chicago Bears. I think that's a good matchup. I think they're going to win that game. I think there's a little bit of value right now on Brock Bowers because he has been hurt. He looked like a beast the first week. Obviously, he's been recovering from a knee injury. He's still probably recovering a little bit from a knee injury. But I think he's going to be more targeted this game than he has been the last 2 weeks, although he did have 8 targets week 2 and only 5 targets week 3. But part of that might have just been, Trey Tucker. I don't know. But so I am going with a 3-leg same game parlay. Las Vegas to win the game, money line. Ashton Genty to get in the end zone, score a touchdown. And Brock Bowers to record 7 or more receptions. 3 of those legs together, depending on where you're shopping, get you as high as plus 650. I'm looking right now. Plus 650 is available on Bet365 in New Jersey. FanDuel had plus 550. I have to put it into Pickett and see where the best odds are. But that's what I think that we're going to get a win from Oakland or Vegas, and that's highly correlated with the Genty touchdown. And I think Bowers is going to bounce back this week. So those 3 legs, I think 6 to 1 is a pretty good number there. So let's see one go through, get up a couple units, and then next week we can be a little more frisky.
All right. I like it. And honestly, one of these days, maybe we'll do a sub pod. Joe, you're gonna have to break down all the different like apps and stuff you have to shop and like find the right odds. Like it's Joe on like a Sunday morning is on the toilet. It's just like game. He's gamed and locked in there.
It's a process. One of these months or years, I'm gonna take a sabbatical from work and just dedicate like my full life to football, like preparation and everything, like during the week, like do my own research and scouting. And, like right now I'm doing a lot of crowdsourcing analysis, and feel like if I had the time to do my own analysis, then maybe I could,
make a living off of that.
Yeah. Who knows? But
not stressful with kids.
For right now, I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to do my 9 to 5 and consume as much content as I can when I'm not doing my 9 to 5, and then sit on the toilet on Sunday.
I consume content while doing my 9 to 5 a lot.
And mash in 100 bets while my wife is like, Joe, what's going on in there?
Yeah, the kids need you.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's how it goes.
Well, that's how it goes. Want to quickly, before ending this pod, haven't talked about our weekly highs and lows yet on the pod. So each week we have a weekly high and a weekly low, which actually we're paying out the weekly highs this year in our league. So in the Nonstop Fantasy Weekly Dynasty League, you're getting some payouts there. I think it's either 25 or 50 a week. But we also pay out the highest score that the year, and the lowest score actually funds our toilet bowl. So week 1, Joey actually had the highest score of 147.6, and Scott Rapp had the lowest of 74.2. Week 2, Schluter clocked in at 158.9 for the highest on the year. So week 2, we got our highest, and then the lowest, which is going to be a really hard one to beat for a lowest one, was Harry and Dan at 62 flat. That is the second lowest score in the history of our league. So that's tough. And then Schluter came in with another weekly high last week, 152.22. So the guy's just racking up funds all the time. By the way, his projected total is like 167 this week. It makes no sense. I've never seen it. Like mine's like 120, and that's like league average. He's at 167. It's crazy. But just no one's even scored that this year. But anyway, Whitey with a low score is a pretty high low score of 103.54. So just wanted to, give the league a little shout out for there. Is there any other call outs you guys want to bring out, whether it's the league, any trades you guys are trying to, bully people to get done on in there, or anything else that you're excited for with week 4?
Just a lot of domination by Division 2. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, my division stinks, and I still can't dominate it. It's just, God, it's so bad. It's all right. Bouncing back. Well, with that, we're back, guys. We got through it. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And there'll be more this season. So follow the pod, and thank you very much.
NSFW Dynasty Podcast. Tune in next time